On PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, I'm Peter Martin. Alan Off and Tam McManus are here with me. We've got lots to talk about, and thank you to you for joining us. And of course, we will mention some of your opinions on a weekend which, again, is going to be super exciting. Saturday and Sunday. Who's going to win that title? Who's going to be in that playoff place? We're only now looking at 3 games left. Who's got the mental strength? Well, we're going to ask the questions. Is it a last hurrah for Martin O'Neill in his final Old Firm match in charge on Sunday at high noon? Danny Rohl has his sights set on next season in charge of Rangers, despite all the speculation linking him with a Bundesliga club, or indeed possibly not being there just as the manager. You can give us your thoughts on that. Derek McInnes has defiantly claimed Hearts have the mental strength to win the league. What do you think? And Marvin Bartley leaves Livingston after the goalposts were moved on his position at the club. We'll discuss that as well as Scott Arfield takes temporary charge of Livy. They'll be in the Championship next season, so we'll discuss that as well. As ever, lots to talk about, and we've got Ruffy in Fine Fettle. Looking forward to a weekend of some fantastic football. Nothing better than a Celtic Rangers match to look forward to, Ruffy.
Fantastic, with everything that's at stake. Obviously, both of them haven't been at their best this year, but any Old Firm game always throws up something to chat about, and I don't think this will be any different.
Yeah, Motherwell Hearts we're certainly looking forward to. It's an unusual time, 8 o'clock, Tam. If there's one key element of this season that I think has frustrated a lot of football supporters, is the games have been moved to some of the most outrageous times.
I don't mind it, Peter. I don't mind it. I don't mind an 8 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday.
You're not covering them.
Yeah, I don't think the fans would either. I think a wee away trip for the Hearts fans. 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, you can get in the boozer all day and have a drink and then go to the game. So, that's something different. Friday night games, maybe 8 o'clock, Saturday night. I think there was even a Sunday night game. And obviously the Monday one a couple of weeks ago with Hearts and Rangers. So, I just think they're trying to tap into maybe a different audience, maybe abroad, Americans or the Far East. And try to get Scottish football out to a bigger audience. Yeah,
well, it's all about the dosh. We've had the excitement, maybe not the quality that we were all looking for when you consider other leagues and, of course, some of the games that we've witnessed, but nevertheless, it's exciting. What do you think about who's going to win the league? And Hearts will be champions on Wednesday, says Dante Friend. Could be a defining weekend for the league, says Brian as well. And also Danny Hitchings has nailed it, Ruffy. Tam singing the Hearts song as well, Peter. Don't forget.
I'm not singing that.
I don't think
that's quite catchy, but
I hadn't heard that for a long time. I thought it was really catchy.
What?
The Hearts song.
Yeah, they had it for a long time.
The 3 verses. I never heard 3 verses. I've heard the first verse.
Yeah.
I've never heard the other 2. I think they were great. I'd have been down the tunnel anyway.
So was that.
Well, the first one finished.
Yeah. Listen, I think the great credit to them. They're pulling out all the stops, and I just think that if they do win it, then the merch alone is going to be unbelievable in the summer. They will be selling every commemorative thing you can think of.
Yeah, the club shop will get emptied, Peter, and so their superstore. So, yeah, there's a bit to go, but they're in the driving seat. I think if they can better Celtic's result over the weekend, they've got a real opportunity to go and win the league on the Wednesday night, I think, against Falkirk at home. So we've been saying it for 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, this is a pivotal weekend. This is a pivotal weekend. But Hearts keep grinding out results, and if they grind out another one on Saturday night, then I think they're going to win the league.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we've got our quiz courtesy of the Elite Joinery and Fire Protection. Of course, we've had some fantastic shows this week. We didn't have you at one of them because you were hobnobbing it. How did it go? How did you go at, was it Glen Eagles?
Glen Eagles, Paul and Damien.
That's all right, isn't it?
Me and my pal were 5 up after 6 holes, and we thought we were not going to get invited back, so we eased off the gas and we rope-a-doped him into the last couple of holes and ended up winning. But 2 great guys, and looking forward to seeing them in a couple of weeks at your Champions League night as well. So, and 2 good golfers as well. But we need to get invited down to their office where they've got the simulator and all that.
Yes.
Because supposedly they're never at it. Don't know if they get the work done.
Would you do that, Ruffy?
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Not a lot of walking involved. You just hit the bottom screen.
Yeah. The other thing about it, Ruffy,
You'd be chipping with your putter.
Tam and I will be going to. You won't be going to, because quite simply, the last time I set up a deal for you to get yourself a driver, You went and hit the ball for an hour, done your knee in, you haven't played tennis since, and our team has suffered because you've not come back.
Well, I thought you did particularly well last year, did you know?
We did well last year, but we get...
You're struggling this year.
Last year.
You played Clarkson at a good side.
Yeah.
And White Craig's also very, very good. So, no, I thought you were doing all right.
Yeah, we've got some good players, but it would have been nice to have the old lefty there. But obviously, something that Derek McInnes has mentioned that the Hearts players have is a strong mentality. In contrast, Ruffy's with us here without any of those qualities whatsoever. And of course, somebody will come in, somebody's going to text in and say, Peter, you're nothing but an arrogant bee.
Yep. Stop giving Ruffy abuse.
Because you give Ruffy filters.
Terrible.
Anyway.
Legend of the game, I know.
Exactly. McKenna says 100% effort from every Hearts player from now on. You are 100% right. Smell the Glove says don't mind the Saturday night games. Good atmosphere as well. And thanks to George who says I was at the Beatson Cancer charity night last night in Glasgow. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a fantastic night. Beatson Cancer charity, it raised £200,000, Ruffy, for the charity. I was hosting it with Brian O'Driscoll, the Ireland, British and Irish Lions and Leinster legend. He was top drawer.
I remember seeing a documentary of him. It was on the telly. I don't know if it was by BBC or something. And it was about the two divides of Ireland, obviously north and south, and how in certain regions they are bitter against each other. But when the rugby comes, they're all united.
Yeah.
And he was going around all the wee counties and everything, getting their views and how it was going, and he was top class.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He is good fun, lots of good stories, and of course the other thing about it, and again, but possibly not ideal to talk to you about it, Tam, but it's unbelievable when you talk to sportsmen who are legends, the absolute top of their game. Just phenomenal. I mean, this guy is going to go down in history as one of the greatest rugby players ever. I mean, I've had the good fortune to have Roy Keane on the one-to-one there, phenomenal player, Tyson Fury. These guys, the psychology and the mentality of them is that's, I think, the margins. When you've got that belief, a Roger Federer, a Djokovic, a Michael Jordan, you've got to have that mentality when the big moments come, the clutch moments that you can deliver. And I suppose the Hearts players they'll be tested to the full this weekend on that.
Yeah, they will. They're tantalisingly close now to winning the League Championship. They've got 3 games left. They've been there all season. I don't think if Hearts don't win the league, I don't think it will be because they've bottled it. They'll maybe just not be good enough in the end. But they've been there all season to be shot at, and they're still there. Huge game on Saturday night away to Motherwell, who have obviously still got ambitions themselves of getting into the top 4. And if Hearts win, it piles the pressure onto Celtic on the Sunday. So it's another big weekend. But as I said to you, I think if Hearts win the next 2 games, I don't see them being caught.
I did mention elite joinery and fire protection for the quiz, and with Aston Villa defeating Nottingham Forest in the semi-final of the Europa League, they're now going to get into another European final, which is easy for Unai Emery, not for Villa though. It's been a long time since they were in a European final. In fact, it was 1982. They played against Bayern Munich. Can you tell us the goal scorer for Aston Villa to win them the European Cup in 1982? Do you know that, Ruffy? Do you?
I know. I'll take a guess at the blonde-headed boy, Shaw.
Gary Shaw was a great player. I think Gary Shaw's no longer with us. I think he's sadly
No, he
passed
hasn't.
away.
He hasn't had the great privilege of being with him in a football tournament in Mauritius. He was over there in the team, and he's good company, really good company.
Yeah, some of these players sadly passed away. I'll tell you, there's another player who played for Hibs who was in that side. Do you remember him?
It's Bremner.
Brilliant, Ruffy. You're on form today, by the way. Absolutely magnificent.
It's his era, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your era.
Oh, is that right? Don't batter him, by the way.
No, I'm just saying it's
okay.
He's quite comfortable in the 70s, 80s, I would say.
Do you know the guy who scored it?
No.
No. Okay.
Cowens. Gordon Cowens.
He was there.
He was a
That's
good player as well.
That's a good shout.
That's a great shout, but wrong. I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the answer at the end of the programme, to be honest with you. Okay, give us your thoughts. Who is And by the way, a brilliant line here. It's the first time ever that Brian has said the camera person who's operating our cameras has fallen asleep. You see, that's what happens. If anybody switches off at any point, they're all over it like a rash. Let's talk about the games. What one? I'm going to give you your option here, Ruffy. Which one do you want to talk about first? Celtic or Rangers or Motherwell against Hearts? Motherwell Hearts is on the Saturday night at 8.
Well, I think Celtic Rangers is the first one, isn't it? You know, I think whatever happens there will have a lasting fact in that game on the Sunday night. You know, that obviously pressure or a wee bit, not as much pressure, obviously, if Celtic win the game. Interesting to see what team Rangers put out. I think Celtic fans will be interested to see what team Celtic put out. But certainly in the evidence of last week, I think the omission of Alistair Johnson was a big plus for Celtic. I think
Inclusion.
I think they're still going to suss out who that striker is at home, in particular who's going to score the goals. But it's going to be tight. I don't think Rangers and Celtic are getting into the game in any great form at all. But it'll always be a tense game.
Yeah, I noticed that John Hartson has said that, you know, Martin O'Neill, he'll be legendary status up there with Jock Stein if he can pull off this title win. He has to defeat Rangers. In my mind, he's second only to Jock Stein as far as his achievements. Now, I know some people will say, well, wait a minute, you know, you've got to go back and look at some of the other managers in the early period, Jimmy McGregor as well. But in the modern day, post-war, I think he's second only to Jock Stein for his achievements. He was within a whisker of landing a European trophy himself in his first stint.
Yeah, I think over the course of his 2 stints, Peter, obviously, you know, the first stint, Rangers were very strong as well. It was a very strong league. I was fortunate to play in about that time as well, and Celtic were excellent. Very good side. Obviously spent a few quid and got to a European final. And second spell, his points record's incredible as well. So, no, I'd agree with you. I think the only one in the modern era would maybe be Brendan Rodgers, but that would be the only argument. I can't think of anyone over the last 25, 30, 40 years that's done as well as Martin O'Neill at Celtic.
I don't think too many people will be quoting him in this category, to be honest with you. They might look at some of his achievements with the treble, and I think there's maybe just still that pain from a few Celtic fans with him at the moment. But, you know, realistically, he's got to be up there.
No, Brendan would be up there as well. I think his record at Celtic was incredible. So, but Martin O'Neill is a Celtic legend, and as you said, if he pulls this off, if he comes back and saves Celtic a second time and wins the league from nowhere really, then you go down in the history books as probably second only to Jock Stein.
Yeah, Ruffy, Maeda fit to play, so he looks as if he's got near enough all guns blazing. I don't think he'll start with Iheanacho again. I think he'll probably look to Maeda and then Iheanacho and James Forrest as a supporting cast if it's not going according to plan.
Well, he seems to stick with the success, and that's the way it seems to be going. He seems to be leaving it till the 65 minutes, and if things aren't going particularly well, he knows he's got guys there can come on and affect the game. But Maeda is a big one for me. I think Maeda over the last couple of years put a lot of fear into the Rangers defenders. I don't think they like playing against that kind of player. The guy who's got so much pace. They're not dealing with a big bustling centre forward, you know, who they can knock a bit. So the Maeda one will cause fear into that Rangers defence.
As far as the team selection, is it bog standard, Tam? Is it what we would expect? Is there any changes? I mean, Johnson's obviously going to play now. He's been a welcome return for Celtic fans. Is there any other changes that you envisage in that Celtic lineup, or do you think it's as predicted?
Yeah, I think it'll be something similar to the Hibs game, Peter. I think Alistair Johnson, if he's fit, definitely plays. Tierney on the other side, plays Scales and Trusty. Middle of the park, I think it'll be Engels, McGregor. The only other one you could maybe think is Hatate. He's a big game player. I know he's been out of the team, Peter, but in terms of games against and goals against Rangers, he might just.
He's not going to start him.
Yeah, that'd be the only one for me.
Engels, McGregor, Negron, and then.
I think he'll keep Maeda through the middle. He's been playing well through the middle, and he'll play Yang on one side and possibly Tenecti or Forrest on the other side. But yeah, I don't think it will deviate too far from that. But yeah, Maeda's hitting form at the right time for Celtic, and as I said, he's got great experience of scoring goals against Rangers in the past. So it all kind of depends on the night before. I think, you know, if Hearts win, then obviously Celtic have to win. If Hearts get beat, Rangers will think if we beat Celtic, we're back in with a slight sniff as well. You know, we maybe possibly going 4 points behind them, and Celtic and Hearts playing the last day. You know, and Hearts potentially playing a European chasing Falkirk team midweek. So I think it will add a lot more spice when you find out the score on Saturday night.
Interestingly enough, if that will play, I think, in the minds of everyone, because it's not as if you're waiting on the tranny to find out what's going to happen. You'll know the situation. I don't think it will alter too much the way Celtic are going to go about their business, Ruffy, but there'll be the added incentive, I think, for the supporters going there if they think Hearts have slipped up and then suddenly they can chase them down. And I think a lot of Celtic fans that I've been speaking to, and obviously, are you tipping Hearts to win it now?
Yeah, I think Hearts will win it now.
Yeah, I'm tipping Hearts. Yeah. Who are you
still
tipping?
With Celtic.
Oh, you're still with Celtic? Yeah. Right, okay. Still plenty of time left on the show on this one, but I think that'll alter the way they go about their business if Hearts were to slip up, because many Celtic fans that I've been speaking to are saying Hearts are not going to Glasgow on the final day and winning. They're adamant that that's, you know, if there's a sniff of Celtic winning by defeating Hearts on the final day at Celtic Park, they think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you agree with me. I've said all along, home advantage in this split will be very decisive at this moment in time. Celtic have got 2 home games, 1 away. Hearts have got 2 away, you know, which takes away the great success that they've had at home, the record they've got. So somebody keeps telling me away from home they're not as invincible. Yeah. So that remains to be seen. It's just going to be a really, really nervous weekend for everybody concerned, no matter what team you're at. And you're going to get wee breaks here and there, and that could be all you're looking for. But I would rather be playing home games than away games at this stage of the season. Okay,
let's talk about Rangers, because the biggest line coming out of the press conference this morning is, you know, will you still be in charge next season? Because there is a growing undercurrent, Ruffy, of people thinking, and I've just seen a comment on the feed here, which is, if Rangers lose on Sunday, surely the manager has to go, says Willie.
Well, I mean, that's Rangers supporters who demand that their club win silverware every year. That hasn't been the case for a long, long time. I think these kind of Rangers supporters should just shut their eyes and think where you were at the beginning of the season, think about the manager you had at the beginning of the season, think about the team, the state the team was in, and then you bring this guy in, and he's been a dramatic change, whether you like it or no. He was nowhere near challenging Hearts and Celtic, and now he is in that position. Okay, let it slip with the games last week, but he's changed the whole outlook at the team. I'm sure the owners would be happy with what he's done. I know he's no one in, but they'll be happy from where they are now than where they were. Obviously, it has to be tweaked. There has to be players coming and players going, but I think at the end of the day, they just have to bite the bullet and say, look where we are now for where we were.
2 things that I think will happen, Tam. If Celtic beat Rangers on Sunday, there will be a huge clamour, and these are the moments where I'm absolutely delighted I'm no longer involved in phone-ins, where Rangers fans will say, sack the manager. And quite simply, I have been adamant on this one. I think this man deserves a bit of credit for getting them within a sniff of believing there's a chance, because they certainly were looking at this as a transitional season. I think he deserves another summer. I think he's got to go there and try and build for next season a real Danny Rohl team. Some people will look at some of the signings that he's made in the window and they're not too happy with it, but I think he's given them hope that they possibly didn't think about, early on in the season.
I think that the Rangers supporters are obviously seeing improvement from Rangers, but they will feel like in recent seasons, Rangers are a team and a club that gets so far, gets into a position to win the league, and they don't do it for whatever reason. Whether they get nervous, whether people say they bottle it. It's been the exact same under Danny Rohl. It was Philip Clement should have won the league. Should have won the league at Rangers. They went to Dundee, I think, and drew and get beat Ross County or vice versa. They should have won the league. I think this season when Danny Rohl got Rangers into a position a couple of weeks ago You know, where they're playing Motherwell at home, they've got a chance to go top of the league, they get beat, then they get beat away to Hearts. Rangers fans are just thinking this manager has not got the mentality like the previous ones. And all the Rangers supporters that I speak to are wanting one man back, and that's Steven Gerrard. And it's simply because he stopped 10 in a row, he won a league championship, and he's got a winning mentality. People will argue he's really won one trophy in 9, I get that, but a lot of Rangers supporters, I think, want Steven Gerrard back and would want to see the back of Danny Rohl if they get beaten Sunday.
Well, the other thing I was going to say to you on that point is that I was playing 5-a-side, 6-a-side this morning with a number of guys and quite a few pals who are Rangers fans said to me, you know, you're actually, at Rangers at the moment, managers are fighting against 2 or 3 generations of Rangers fans who have that entitlement. They think that they should still be the force, the establishment club who's winning all that's before them. And he says that is not the way Rangers fans should be thinking about it. He thinks he deserves, you know, more time to get another window. But, you know, I think most Rangers fans concede what you've said there, which is quite simply, if he loses in Sunday up, he'll be calm for his head, and there'll be a huge amount of people saying sack him.
Yeah, there will be. But again, you don't know how strong these new owners are. You don't know what the brief was when he went in there, what they told him, what they want, what his objectives had to be. And I would have said he's not ticked all the boxes, but he's made a vast improvement. So for me, it's up to the owners. You know, do they think he's done a good enough job since he's went in there for where they were? Because they're the ones that have put the money in, and they're the ones that are going to have to put the money in again. So it just depends how strong they are and how well they think he's done.
I am utterly gobsmacked by the fixation with Steven Gerrard. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, and he's had a chance again. He's had another chance and he turned it down. I can't remember what his reason was that time.
He wasn't given enough assurances on what he wanted to transform the side.
Yeah.
Meaning, I want lots of money.
Yeah, I mean, again, the owners are just come in and they put in as much as they could, I would think. I don't think they would put in the money that he's wanting. You know, obviously coming back for Saudi, I think he's been thrown at him over there. But, no, I think he's a name and he's done well. But Tam touched on it, one trophy in 9. Not great, is it?
No, it's not. But the one thing that I think is really good about this at the moment, and it depends in what way Rangers and Celtic spend their money, Tam, is quite simply, it's no longer a foregone conclusion that one can outspend. You can't get a chequebook manager coming in now. I thought Graham Souness was a chequebook manager because quite simply he came in when nobody else was able to keep pace with him. Aberdeen were on the wane because Fergie had gone to Manchester United, and he was able to buy all and sundry English players because English football was banned from European football, so they were bringing in England internationals. Celtic were in the doldrums, Celtic were a car crash club, and he was able to actually just bankroll to the title. You know, this time around you've suddenly got Hearts with a really good structure. If only you could get maybe a Hibs or an Aberdeen or somebody, you know, one of the Dundee clubs suddenly getting their act together as well, it would be really, really competitive. But I think they're up against it now because they have to be more shrewd in the transfer market.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Hearts, if you look at Tony Bloom as a whole and all the clubs he's involved in, you know, they're all flying this season. USG are going to win the league in Belgium. Hearts possibly win the league here. Brighton are flying, you know, top 6. And it hasn't always happened immediately. I think with USG, particularly in Belgium, you know, invested money in there. They got close a couple of times before they won it. I think he came in a blaze of glory in the summer and spoke about 5-year, 10-year plans of winning the league, and people laughed at him. They might do it in year 1, you know, and
I'm not laughing now.
I know, and that's not to say, oh, they're just going to win it and then just go away again. And I think if Hearts win the league, they bank that money. You know, Tony Bloom will go again. He'll try and, you know, be a real force in Scottish football. With that money behind them. So, yeah, I don't think Hearts are going to go anywhere soon with Tony Bloom behind them. And Rangers have wasted so much money. You know, Celtic are a different animal. They've not spent it. But Rangers, with the guts of 30 to 40 million pound this season and could finish 3rd. So, you know, you're right. You've got to have some sort of structure. You've got to have some sort of recruitment plan in place. And Rangers don't seem to have that at the minute.
I think Brian makes a great point. Celtic and Rangers have signed some duds and will lose a fortune on them. Brian, you're not wrong. You've absolutely, and don't worry, you don't need to respell duds. We all get it. They have indeed, and you know, I think we need to get Charlie Adam in before the end of the season, just to kind of give us some transfer values, Ruffy, on some of these players.
Well, unfortunately for Celtic, a lot of them have drastically dropped. I mean, at one stage we were talking about Hatate, 20 million. You know, obviously Jota's been out injured, he's a different kettle. Engels, would you pay more than 12 million that you paid initially? You know, so they've not got that Kieran Carey, that 25 million or that.
They'll get their money back and more on Engels.
Yeah, but I think that the proof is
they'll get a huge amount of money on Negron in comparison to what they paid for him.
Well, yeah,
he scored 20 goals, roughly.
It's the money they need to recruit for the loan players. How many players have they got out on loan? Off the top of your head. How many players have Celtic got at other clubs? I would say it's about 10.
Tam and I were thinking about this. We don't have the answer. How many is it?
I'd say it's about 10. I guess.
There he goes.
It's about 10.
Well, they probably
10 players that they've paid money for
that
aren't contributing.
Inamura's still part of the Celtic lineup.
Yeah.
Stephen Welsh is another one who's still there.
Who's the other striker? Shin? Maeda? Is he there?
I think he's still on
loan
some
somewhere.
sort of loan deal somewhere. Yeah,
Boy,
you're right,
home.
Ruffy. I mean, there's a lot of who.
Naroki, is he there? Is he away?
That's another one. Yeah,
Laga
Naroki.
Bielka, did he leave permanently? Naroki,
There's
guys
a
like
lot of players. Yeah, you're right, Ruffy. It's a good point. Okay, on that point, Rangers, Danny Rohl, how does he go about this one? What does he do to win the game there? Is it because it's a different situation from when Wilfred Nancy was there? Where basically Rangers were able to, get the win comfortably because of the madness of the manager they appointed.
He needs to believe that the players on the park can do more than 45 minutes. If they're going to go into the game and just chip in 45 minutes, it's not going to be good enough. They need to prove to the manager that they can go longer than that. And particularly when they go in front, they've got to prove that they are good enough to kick on, and they haven't done that.
Yeah.
So again, it's a stupid old one. Whoever scores first is going to win the game.
In your mind?
In my mind, I think if Rangers were to score first, I don't think they'd lose the game.
That hasn't happened in the last few, but
That's
if you look at it,
I think with the way the pressure's going and now the nitty-gritty, Celtic getting into the game knowing they need to win.
I mean, obviously, I'm looking right now. It's 27 minutes past 4, so I'm actually putting that line in where I'm going to replay that clip to you.
Yeah.
Because obviously last week, you said that you seen the momentum with Rangers, and Tam defended you yesterday, saying no, he was. You were there, saying no. Ruffy's been backing Celtic all the way.
yes.
Do you not think if you were at that game last week at Tynecastle and you saw the first 45 minutes, Rangers 1 up, would you have been sitting there and having your cup of tea at half time and saying Rangers are going to win this?
I thought they were comfortable.
But it just shows you, the way things are now and the pressure that's involved.
None of them have had a 90 minutes.
No. Certain people can handle it, some people can't handle it. It's on the day for me.
So, give me your prediction.
Your prediction is Rangers score first?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go Celtic to win 2-1. and Celtic to score first.
Right,
Celtic to
okay.
score first.
Right, Tam?
Yeah, I'll go Celtic 2-1 as well, but it's been interesting that the last two Old Firm games, league games, Celtic have scored first and not won any of them. Rangers scored first, never won it, and then Celtic scored first at Parkhead and get beat.
Yeah.
So usually you're right, the first goal's vital in these games, but it hasn't been the last couple. But I think Celtic will win 2-1.
Kenny says when Rangers play a bit, they look decent. Kenny, you're right. They looked decent in the first half against Hearts. I thought that was the best football Rangers had played all season. Comfortable, moving it about, shifting it about. Albeit they had an overload at times in the midfield area, but I thought they looked comfortable. But I don't see. Kenny says Celtic 2, Rangers 2 and Hearts to win. We're going to get on to Hearts right now, Kenny, but I'm going to go Celtic to win narrowly 2-1 as well. There'll be goals because the two defences are not great either. But give us your thoughts on it. Brian thinks Celtic 3, Rangers 2. There'll be Rangers fans, and Willie says Rangers only perform for 45 minutes. Can Rangers go to Celtic Park and win? And maybe the twists and turns that Tam's talking about, which brings us nicely to Fir Park, 8 o'clock at night. It's mobbed. My nephew is flying in from Jersey for the game because he's a huge Motherwell fan, and he will be wearing, of course, all the gear that he likes to wear, the Stone Island.
You going to it as well?
I am going to go to it. I'll be in the press box. He'll be in the Motherwell end, hoping that Motherwell can take down Hearts and cement their place in fourth position. I think they've already got it anyway, but nevertheless.
Yeah, well, the evidence so far is, you have to say, they went off the boil a wee bit, Motherwell. Not getting the results they were getting earlier on, but they're at home, listening to the manager chatting. He believes that he wants a strong finish in the league. I'm sure the players will want a strong finish as well. Very noticeable, the Motherwell players and the Player of the Year awards. You know, they'll go into the game with a lot of confidence. But again, it's that big P word, pressure.
Yeah. What was the noticeable about the Player of the Year awards? Because
Motherwell had 2 players in it.
yeah. You mean the PFA one? Yeah. I thought you were on about the club one as well. But I'm looking at it, and the form's not great, Tam. One win in the last, one win in the last 7. That's not great.
Yeah, and
quite a few
it was against it's at Ibrox, which will annoy Rangers supporters even more. But
5 defeats.
Yeah, they haven't. I think in some of those games they have been a little bit unfortunate, not to get more out of the game. So yeah, listen, it's a massive game. I think Jens Berthel-Askow's comments about the penalty at Tynecastle has stoked the fires as well. There's a lot of Hearts fans not happy with that.
Why?
Well, they'll argue there was a penalty. So I just think that adds a wee bit more spice to it as well. There's a few Celtic supporters in that Motherwell team as well, which might want to do their team a turn. The team that support a turn. Stephen Welsh obviously as well. A lot of eyes watching the game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said yesterday, it's a Motherwell play a certain way. They'll go in high press and they'll play through the lines. Hearts can mix it up, they can go longer. And I think it's going to be a really close game.
Don't give us your prediction just yet, because quite simply we have to talk about yet another award, the SPFL Manager of the Season, and it belongs to Derek McInnes again. Ruffy, what are you going to say to that?
Yeah, is this the managers who vote for it again?
No, I think this is the sponsors.
Or the sponsors vote?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's been there since October. You can't take it away from them. The way they've played, they've handled the Rangers and Celtic quite comfortably, and they have been the team of the year so far. It's unfortunately, we don't know who it is going to be at the end, but
Yeah.
I think he deserves it for giving it now.
Yeah, he hopes to have Devlin or Milne, possibly both. I would suggest only one of them might surprise us in the starting lineup, but either one is a crucial player for them.
Yeah, and the evidence, the first half, they struggled a wee bit against Rangers, so any quality you can add to that team, you know, particularly in the second half, they sort of grinded it out a wee bit and got the result. You know, if you go back to the Hibs game, very fortunate, 2 Hibs players get sent off, so they're there where they are because they've been very, very good the rest of the season. I just don't think they're playing that good either.
I think they find ways to win, Tam. I think the manager deserves the award, and I think he has to be applauded for doing his job, which is basically, you can't, unless you're one of the absolute top sides, you can't dominate a game for 90 minutes. What you do is you look and you say to yourself, this isn't working out, I need to change it. So he's done that consistently, and I think he's right to be defiant in talking about people saying, who's questioning our mentality? We've got 76 points here. We're 3 games away from winning the league. And these players have showed a strong mentality and an abundance of it. In big games where it's not been going well, they've managed 5 wins over Celtic and Rangers. They've managed 3 out of 4 in the derbies. He deserves great credit.
Yeah, he does. They've shown great resilience all season, Peter. I think when they've been behind in games, they've come back and won them. They were 3-0 down at home to Motherwell at one point earlier in the season, come back and drew 3 each. So they've got a never-say-die attitude within the whole club, within the dressing room. That comes from the manager as well. So 1-0 down at half-time last week, getting outplayed against Rangers. You know, Derek went in, changed the system, brought Blair Spittle on, went an extra man in the middle of the park, and they came out and steamrolled Rangers in the second half. So they'll get into this game confident. They'll be confident if they go a goal up. They'll still be confident to win the game if they go a goal down, because they've shown all season that they have got a togetherness and a resilience that can go and win games, and I think that's got to be credit to the manager and the whole squad.
Well, look at the goal scorer, Shanklin. He's got 18 now, Ruffy, and Braga, the player of the year, has got 17. And Kenny thinks Dell deserves to win the title. He's earned it. I like McInnes' point on this. We need a strong midfield against Motherwell, so I hope Devlin's back. I think they'll need somebody like Devlin alongside Leonard in the middle of the park because, you know, Motherwell at times can pass you to death.
Yep, I like the boy Slattery in there. I see this team's looking at him now. You know, the Motherwell, the strongest bit for me has been their midfield. I think they've been great to watch. I think that your man up front's went a wee bit quiet. Masanusi.
Mazwanisi.
He's went off a wee bit.
Yeah.
You know, that's a shame.
You usually say the big guy up front.
At least I had an effort. I had an effort. But the wee boy, just for me, should have been the player of the year. I think he is. He makes them tick. He's the one that's got all the movement in the world. And I think it'll be a pretty close game. I really do.
The boy Eli just seems to keep his feet on the ground. And I've noticed something that somebody mentioned in the press. They were talking about it, and I think Jens Berthalaskau mentioned it as well. You don't see him going overboard with huge big celebrations and the grin on the face. He seems to be I'm not suggesting for a minute he's a dull boy, but he scores some belter goals, and actually some of his passing has split defences for Mazwanisi. Maybe that's just his personality.
Yeah, he's been really entertaining to watch. He plays in that little pocket behind the striker. He can come and dictate the game. He can come deep and spray passes about. He can go and create and score goals. He's been a breath of fresh air to watch for Motherwell this season in that midfield just behind Mazwanisi. So he's someone that Hearts will have to take care of. But it's been interesting. There's been a lot of red cards in Hearts games this season. If I look back at the St Mirren game away from home, they lost 1-0. The Hibs game. There's been games where Hearts have either lost a man or Dundee United away. I think they get 2 men sent off.
Yeah.
So both teams, I think, need to keep 11 men on the park, because that could be pivotal again, because there has been a lot of sending offs in recent weeks, I've thought.
It's the one game where I don't see the kind of needle that you get in other matches because of the way they want to play football. I mean, Devlin's capable of causing a fight in the house on his own, which I like about him. I don't know about you, Tam, but I love midfielders who want to pick a fight, which is why, Scott Brown epitomised it all by looking and thinking, right, how can I annoy this person and then play football around them while they're trying to put the life out of me? Devlin's right in that mould. Yeah,
and he can back it up because he's a good player as well, Peter, and he can mix it up, he can take it, he can give it, and that's what you want to see. I think he'll struggle to get back into the team. I think the boy Leonard's been superb in there. I think they've had a nice blend with him and Beningame.
I like the two of them there and let Beningame
I don't know if he's fit enough to start the game, but even back in the bench, I think we give the squad a boost, and Milne's obviously been excellent this season, been missing for a while as well, so Hearts are getting big players back at the right time as well.
You can see where Hearts' success has been this year, that Rangers and Celtic haven't had these 2 strikers that have scored goals.
Yeah.
Celtic and Rangers have always had 2 strikers who scored 20 goals.
That's the key to the title for me, Ruffy.
Yeah.
That's why I think Hearts will win the title.
Yeah, and that evidence, with the 2 of them scoring as many goals, you wouldn't argue against it.
So, with that in mind, Ruffy,
I'm going to go 1 each.
A draw,
yep.
Which twists the whole thing towards yourself and possibly.
Yes.
Yeah. Tam, where are you going with this one? Do you want me to go back to the 6 games ago predictions?
No. That's out the window now.
What's Hearts' last 6?
Eh?
Hearts' last 6 away. You're saying they're not that impressive?
No, just the last 6 games.
No, we predicted from 6 games out. We had a prediction, and I predicted that Hearts would end up with 82 points and win the league. Tam...
I certainly didn't say Rangers would beat them. They would beat Rangers.
Yeah, Tam at this point had Celtic on 80, Rangers on 77 and Hearts on 74. So Hearts have already exceeded that. They're on 76. I had Hearts on 82 at the end of the season, Celtic on 80 and Rangers on 78. I don't think I'll be...
I don't
think I'll be too far away from that, Ruffy, although there could be a few twists and turns. And on that point, Tam, I had Hearts to win 3-2, and I'm going to stick to it.
I think Hearts will win. I fancy Hearts.
Yeah?
I think
you
Hearts
change your mind?
I just think Hearts they'll grind something out. I think Motherwell will dominate the ball, and I think Hearts will sucker them. 1-0 to Hearts wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, I'm going 3-2. I think it'll be a goals fest. You're going for a draw, Ruffy, so that it suddenly goes down to that last day in your mind.
Well, let's see what happens in the Celtic Rangers game. That's not done and dusted either.
Wait a minute, you've suggested Celtic will win it.
No, I know, but it's like that. You're like that. There's no.
That's the joy of being a pundit. You get battered.
Yeah. I think it's going to be 1 each. I think Celtic will beat Rangers.
Yeah.
So that'll be what getting into
that
the next
reduces
game.
the gap to only
1 point.
Point.
And then Celtic will go to Motherwell and Motherwell beat Celtic. Imagine you won the league and you're going to Celtic for the last game of the season as a player.
If you won the league,
No, if you
Hearts have won it by then.
You've won it by then.
that's
And
the
you're
best
going
time to go.
I know that's what I'm saying, but I'm trying to get the feeling as a player going to that game must be the highest point of your career.
The only thing that will derail my suggestion that Hearts is going to win the league is quite simply if there is only 1 point in it and Celtic against Hearts is the last game.
There's only one winner.
There's only one winner.
The Hearts fan,
no, there's only
the
one
Hearts
winner.
fan. That I think is the dreaded. That's the dreaded scenario for Hearts.
It is.
If they drop points next couple of games and they Celtic are within 1 or 2 points going into that last game, there's only one winner for me at a packed Parkhead. I think Celtic will beat Hearts, and so Hearts want it tied up before then.
Yeah, I think that's the case, Ruffy. What do
If
you
you're a
think?
player, you would want that.
No, but
No, I
what do you
don't think any Hearts player or fan
I
wants
hope it
that.
goes to the last game.
So they are.
I
I
really
think we all
hope it
do.
goes to the last game. It'll be brilliant. It'll be fantastic.
It'll be nervy, yeah? It'll be unbelievably... I'll tell you one thing, the one thing about it, no matter what people are talking about and everyone in their granny, of the pundits, of the journalists, everybody, fans as well, have all made predictions and they've all been left with the egg in their face. But we're about to just...
Here's a question for you, Peter. When was the last time there was a league decider on the last day of the season in Scottish Premier League?
2005.
Who?
It was...
Not playing each other.
or playing each other.
Has that ever happened?
Oh, it's such a good line because...
Has there ever been a head-to-head in the last day of the season?
Win
Win the league?
Was it
Yes.
not? Was it not Rangers with Neil McCann scoring and Mahey gets sent off?
I don't think that was the last game.
Were they so far
Was
ahead?
the
then?
Rangers Aberdeen game?
Yes.
2-0.
Ruffy.
Brilliant,
Well
Ruffy.
done, Ruffy.
When was that?
Mark
When was
Haley.
that? 90?
Haley.
90?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenny Merchant will tell you when that was.
No, but I'll tell you, I'll give you an even better one than that, Ruffy. By the way, I'm bowing to you
Aye.
for that one, Ruffy. Well done. 2-0 to Rangers. If Aberdeen, Alex Smith's Aberdeen, won that day, and I think maybe, I'm not so sure about a draw, but if they won that day, they won the league. So that's a brilliant shout, Ruffy. But the other thing is, I wonder if you can tell me who was the goalkeeper for Aberdeen that day.
What?
Oh, what is that? The big man's on a run. You can't get an opinion out of him, but you can get clarity on who
Well done.
played. Ruffy.
Big Mark Haley terrorised him.
Oh, he did. He was
A couple of
brilliant that
boys
day.
came in, he just battered them. The young boy was inexperienced and just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and Rangers. I think Rangers won the game 2-0, if my memory
yeah, it
serves
was
me
2-0.
correct. And Dante says Schnelders was injured, and I think that had a major impact on Aberdeen. Aberdeen are a right good side then as well,
Yeah,
Ruffy.
yeah, certainly. Well, to get that stage of the season against
35 years ago.
Yeah, it must have been. Another thing about it, Ruffy, as well, which I remember about that, is they had a right good manager in Alex Smith. Alex Smith was a lovely man.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yeah. I think he's living in Australia now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He was
is.
at Falkirk when I was there.
Oh, was he?
Under him, aye,
I loved
brilliant.
Alec. He's a
Brilliant
really
guy.
nice man,
Gave me my
wasn't
debut for Scotland under 21s as well.
So not really got switched on with regards to players, but nevertheless, no, great man. Only kidding you, Tam. And thanks to Willie who says it was 2-0. It was a Haley double. It was. Mark was. Was Mark still wearing the ice cream man Versace gear? It was.
The ties.
I think he had a
ties
red
and
Ferrari.
The hair away, didn't he? Here.
Yes, he looked like. I always say to him, he looked like a Romulan from Star Trek. You know, with that big long hair, fearsome. I wouldn't like to.
I can imagine a way back then that his Versace stuff would have been targeted in the dressing room.
Oh,
I would think there'd be cut sleeves,
Too expensive.
cut trousers, cut ties.
exactly. And by the way, I mean, I remember one photograph. Mark's a brilliant lad. I mean, you couldn't. He's a really nice lad. But I remember one photograph of him, Tam, and this has just summed it all up. Obviously, having played in Italy with the great, fabulous Ray Wilkins as well, he was standing next to his red Ferrari and all that Versace gear. He didn't look the business. He just looked mental.
Aye, that's the picture I've got in my head of Mark Haley.
Yeah.
Quite flashy, but great player and certainly came up trumps in that game. when he was needed.
What a line that is there. He said, this is one from Skeen, who I think is an Aberdeen fan. He says, if only Charlie Nicholas had stayed one extra year at Pittodrie, it might all have been so different. And Kenny says, the Dons hit the post twice before Rangers scored. They had some great Dutch players. Yeah, Hans Heelhuis, for me, was a fabulous player for Aberdeen. Is that fair, Ruffy?
Yep, I would think so, yeah.
So, what are we going for? You've called
Motherwell. One each.
I've gone for Hearts.
1-0 Hearts.
1-0 Hearts. Okay, give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts on that. And by the way, can I just say to the guy who we don't know his name because he never ever gives us it, but he's got a handle on it. Smell the Glove says 10 men won the league in 1979. It was very close to the last game of the season. Rangers only had to draw in the game at Celtic Park. Johnny Doyle gets sent off. The late great Davy Cooper was magnificent on that night. But Celtic with 10 men in the second half, roughly they came back and won 4-2.
Oh.
It was an unbelievable game. Colin Jackson scored an own goal to put Celtic 3-2 ahead, and then a man you know very well, Murdo McLeod, because STV had gone on strike that night, they went on strike, and the game was only covered by Celtic's TV cine camera, and that's allowed Murdo McLeod to say that he hit it from about 45 yards when really it was only 18 into the roof of the
It was a screamer.
Oh, it was a screamer, all right, absolutely. Murdo could hit them. And of course, I did mention last week, because Ian Docherty highlighted it, Quinton Young had sadly passed away. And of course, in that day, Johnny Doyle, who was a big Celtic fan, played for Celtic, he's sadly no longer with us as well. What a game that was. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we're still sticking to it. It's going to be interesting. Give us your thoughts on it. How do you think the twists and turns on those two big games? Now, I usually have a wee running order here where I'm looking, Tam, and I'm thinking, what's the next big game? And for me, it's in Paisley, it's St Mirren against Kilmarnock in the bottom end of the table.
Yeah, this is an enormous game. Obviously, Livingston are gone, and I think you're looking at St Mirren and Kilmarnock now. I think that's your two teams. I think that Dundee, obviously, with the win last week, and then, Aberdeen are safe, Dundee United are safe. If Kilmarnock beats St Mirren, I think St Mirren in the playoffs.
Dundee safe?
I think Dundee are safe. I think they're just about safe, and I actually think they'll maybe win it. I think they'll win at the weekend against Livingston. But yeah, it's a big game and a hard one for me to call. I think that Kilmarnock have definitely improved under Neil McCann and Billy Dodds.
Yeah, it's been 4 months where he has.
They've picked up wins.
Yeah, but they've played good football.
Aye, and even to get some of the games they've lost, they've played well in them as well. I think they narrowly lost up at Pittodrie a few weeks ago. So. No, I'm going to sit in the fence here. This is going to be very, very cagey. I've played in these games before, and I'm going to go for one each.
Ruffy, it's a tough order here. I think it's been a big gamble for St Mirren. Full march to them. And by the way, even if they're in the playoff place, there's still a lot of undetermined.
You would still fancy them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, still fancy them to stay in the league, regardless of who's in that playoff. And I'm sorry to say that because it could be a Dunfermline or a Thistle or a Broth.
Yeah, obviously I think the momentum with Kilmarnock, once you get a win, a comfortable win like that last week, that you're going into the remaining games with a bit of confidence. I have looked at the St Mirren games, and the last two games they've been in it, they've had chances. Livingston, they should have been at least 2 or 3 nothing up against Livingston, and then Livingston hit them with 2 goals.
Did you watch them
last
against
week
Dundee?
At Dundee? I thought the first half they had chances in that game as well. I'm sticking with them. I've quite liked St Mirren this year, so I'm going to go for St Mirren.
What, St Mirren what?
To win.
Just to win?
To win.
No scoreline?
2-0.
2-0. Okay, I'm going to go Kelly to win 2-1.
One each for me.
One each? Mm-hmm. All right. Falkirk against Hibs. Oh, I had a wee look at your column. I usually get to the third paragraph and then, the rest of it is just puff.
Written in crayon.
If you can get past the third paragraph, you're doing well, Ruffy. Once he throws his grenade, could the disciplinary problem for Hibs cost David Gray's job? No.
I think it could, Peter. If Hibs finish 6th out the European places.
You're not sacking him, are you? Come on.
I'm not saying I would sack him, Peter, but it's a very, very disappointing season. Allied to the fact that Hearts might win the league,
Yes.
which is even worse. And you're in a situation now where Falkirk, just by winning, beating Motherwell last week, and Hibs have lost 4 players sent off in the last 3 games, lost the last 3, and Falkirk now are within touching distance. If Falkirk beat Hibs, they go above them. And 5th place is going to, if Celtic win the cup final, is going to get you into Europe. So this is all of a sudden from you're thinking this is a bit of dead rubber. This is not anymore. This is a big game for both clubs.
1 win in the last 7.
Yeah, Hibs, as I said, they've just not been at it. Disciplinary problems are costing the manager, costing results, and it might cost him his job. I said that today. So they need to keep 11 men in the park. The last 3 games have had men sent off. They've lost all 3. Keep 11 men in the park and see how you go. But a very big game for both clubs.
Yeah. Is he making too much of it, talking about the state of the pitch, David Gray? He's not happy with Falkirk's pitch. It's difficult to play on.
Seemingly the best of the lot, is it no?
I think so.
Saying. Yeah, certain players can't play in it as well as grass. And if he thinks his certain big players don't perform on it, then that's his problem. He's got to sort it out. But I think Falkirk, of all the teams, have been pretty consistent this year. I think they've entertained.
Yeah.
For the very first game to this game. Okay, they won last week, so
he deserves to be a nominee.
Oh, definitely, definitely. The whole team. I mean, the wee boy Calvin Miller.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's there next year. I remember him when he was at Celtic, and then he started moving about to a few clubs. But he looks a real deal now.
Is he a Celtic calibre signing, or is it an Aberdeen, a Hibs, or a Hearts that should be looking at him?
Yeah, Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be shocked if Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts are not looking at him.
Yeah.
But would that not be music to your ears if you're John McGlynn and the Falkirk players and the Falkirk supporters that David Gray's having a wee whinge about the part?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
So
what about Barney Stewart? Because he scored, I think, 18 goals. And if he'd scored all his chances last week, he could have had 32.
Yeah, he missed a lot of chances last week. But Falkirk are creating buckets of chances. Even in the game at Celtic Park, when they lost 3-1, they had a real control of that game and for long periods and created opportunities. Obviously against Rangers as well. So
can you imagine there's a scout at that game last week and Barney Stewart banging them left over the bar, missing sitters.
I know.
Have you ever been in a situation where somebody said to you, by the way, you're playing really well, Tam, there's a scout in the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was I just get player of the month for Hibs. I was playing really well, scored a couple of goals at Parkhead, and there was a bit in the paper that Man City were up to watch me. And it was Asa Hartford, was the Man City scout, and we were playing Dunfermline in a midweek game. And I had an absolute shocker. We get beat 4-1 at home. I had a stinker. And I think we Asa left at half time after watching me the first half. But you're right, sometimes you're better not knowing who's watching you, you just go out and play your game.
We Asa, when they come up to Edinburgh to watch somebody playing, he did something.
Yeah.
The night out, so.
Aye, well.
That's for our late night football show when Ruffy tells us exactly what the score was there, but nevertheless. Okay, Falkirk Hibs. I think it's, again, Falkirk at home for me. I think they're going to take Hibs. I'm going Falkirk to win comfortably 2-0.
Wow, no, I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going to go 1 each.
Have you ever tipped anybody to beat Hibs this season?
Ever?
No, I
There's
don't
a
think so.
couple of games to go.
Yeah.
Wants to keep getting his hospitality and all for free and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go for 2 each, Peter. I think there's goals in this game.
Yeah, a draw.
I think there's goals in it. 2 each I'll go for.
And can I just ask you this? Do you think Hibs then finish above Falkirk?
Yes, because Falkirk have got to go to Hearts and then they've got Rangers at home. So I think Hibs might just nick it.
Yeah. Kev says, wouldn't it be great
It's a must not lose game for Hibs.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to see Falkirk in Europe? What a great thing that would be for Scottish football, said Kev. I can understand where you're coming from. I'll tell you what would be great for Scottish football if Scottish clubs could actually get to group stages on a regular basis and boost their coefficient, Ruffy.
Yeah, do something, you know, but obviously they've been disappointing. I'm talking about the big teams. I'm talking about Aberdeen, Hibs. I'm talking about Hearts as well. Anytime they go into Europe, we look for them to do something, then they've failed miserably. So let's hope we can change that.
Kenny says, Tam scored a brilliant goal at Ibrox. Good for you, Tam. It was a belter. It was a volley as well, Tam. I remember looking at it and thinking, woof, he's hit that sweetly.
I think that was voted the second best goal of all time in the SPL.
Who was the goalie?
What?
The SPL, also, it's not the SPL now.
Right.
So the SPL ran for how many? I don't know how many years.
It was the second best goal.
The second best goal.
What was the other
Guess
one?
what the first one was?
Larson, the chip?
Nope.
No? Ian
Jim
Joyce.
Hamilton's volley for Motherwell against Celtic.
Oh, it
Beat
was
me.
a cracker.
Who was in goals for Rangers that day?
Champions League winner Stefan Kloss. I think he got a wee sniff at the way back out.
Do you see how Ruffy was trying to belittle your volley?
But you're going to just... but you were, wouldn't you? You're going to say...
He's voted the Rangers all-time goalkeeper of Andy Gorham.
Who?
Close.
Yeah? It was a
Let me double
belter.
check that by the way, because that could be... is that confirmed? Is that just you think that?
No,
I'm going to check that.
Close.
I'm going to check that. By the way, can I just say, Paul Brady says, Peter, bring back the predictor for next season, please. It's good banter. Paul, I can tell you right now that within the next week or two, you're about to find out that the predictor is coming back big time. You are going to be in for a real surprise. Next week, we're going to be drawing the winner of the Champions League competition we have. And just before we get to... I'm going for Falkirk to beat Hibs.
2 each.
2 each, okay. Just before we get to Aberdeen Dundee United, which I know Kenny likes to fire in a few things, and we'll talk about Dundee Livingston. Let me tell you about going on to PLZ Soccer's YouTube homepage, and there's a link there, and you're about to find out, obviously, if you're not aware of it, Ruffy voiced this piece for Lucky Tiger, who are one of our sponsors. We got Ruffy to voice this. And believe
Took him about 3 years.
it was honestly, it was Ronald Villiers in action, because it was take after take, and one of them, I think there was only 6 words in it that he had to say, and he was all over.
One of them was my name.
Hi, I'm Alan Ruff.
Put your teeth back in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, here's our Lucky Tiger video.
Here's your chance to win the Scotland World Cup experience with Lucky Tiger. You and a guest could be heading to the USA to follow Scotland, with tickets for all 3 group games, flights, 14 nights accommodation and £1,000 spending money included. Entries are £5. The live draw takes place on Lucky Tiger's channel on May 24th. Click the link now to enter and read the full terms and conditions. Good luck.
Enter now.
You
Thing
could
you
just see
done,
me
Alan.
reading that along the...
Honestly, I don't even know. We don't have
Next
autocue. By the way, Smell Glove says Ruffy De Niro. Ruffy put his heart and soul into that, says Franny as well. And Kenny says, Ruffy, great job, pal. Well said. It was absolutely unbelievable. But can I tell you, if you go on, what a prize it is. I mean, 2 tickets for each game, 14 nights accommodation, flights thrown in as well, and £1,000 spending money. Have a long, hard look at yourself. Get onto our YouTube channel, and on the homepage, you'll be able to hear Ruffy going through it all again, but it was absolutely sensational. John says, I thought that was Rab C. Nesbitt. And Danny says, sounded like Tony the Tiger. Can I also tell you that we've got a great prize now which is coming up as well. We're giving away so many things, Tam. But with First Class Credit Union, they've sponsored a fantastic prize for us. And it's basically this. We want you to go onto our website, www.plzsoccer.com, and on the homepage there, you've got a chance to basically pick a player you think should be in the top 50 players since the Scottish Premier League in its many different formats formed in 1975. It's not necessarily the best player, it's who you think should be in the top 50 that we're all going to select along with Hugh McDonald and a few other journalists. We're going to pick 50 of what we think are the best overall 50 players that have graced our game. Just name somebody. That we've given you a few suggestions, but if you go on the website, and we're going to pick out one lucky winner. Thanks to First Class Credit Union, they have commissioned Gio Thompson, the sports artist, to paint your favourite player. So if your name is selected, you get to ask Gio to paint your favourite player, and that's fantastic, Tam. You could, if you're Kenny, you're getting an Aberdeen player. If you're somebody out there, a Falkirk fan who's picked out the winner, you get to
If you're a Hibs fan, you could get one of me.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be absolutely fantastic. Not a lot of paint needed for that, just a wee thin drawing. But Ruffy, if there's one of yourself...
Got one, I've got one, you got one for me for my birthday.
So I did, I gave you...
It's actually, what was I going to say, very lifelike.
Yeah.
It's standing at the national anthem of a Scotland-Brazil game. And
Absolutely.
he's taking it off of that, and it is fantastic.
And it's in your house?
Yes, it's in the hallway, yeah. Well, it was the last time I was there.
Yeah, in the castle.
The West Wing.
Oh, what a house it is. Why, look, just looking over everybody. And there's a long drive up to it as well. That's the Lord of the Manor. Okay. And Kenny says, top 50 has to have at least 20 from Dundee United and Aberdeen from the 80s. Well, Kenny, steam in there. Get in. I like Franny, who says Andy Ritchie.
Yes, definitely.
Oof.
He'd be one of my...
He's a stonewaller, isn't he?
Yeah, David Cooper as well. They'd be my two from that era.
Hans Heelhuis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, lots of big players.
Charlie's in it too. Okay, give us your thoughts. Other games, Aberdeen, Dundee United. United keen to finish the top of the sixth lot. Stephen Robinson says he's got a list of who's staying and who's going.
Yeah, I fancy Aberdeen strongly here. I'm not putting a kiss of death on them. I think they've definitely improved under Stephen Robinson. We spoke about it. He ticked a lot of boxes for that football club. And I think you'll see the best Aberdeen next season once he gets... And I think there'll be a big clear out there. I think there'll be 7, 8, 9, possibly 10 out and the same number in. And
should we feel vindicated? And should we leather the Aberdeen fans that gave us pelters?
No, I think we all get a wee bit of stick for suggesting him when he was at St Mirren, but I think you'll find that he's maybe not the fanciest name, he's not a fond name.
Yeah.
I think he'll get into Aberdeen and do a job.
And what about the Dons fans that we can't see on here who are saying to us, oh, you know, you two suggesting Stephen Robinson and Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon, who's Dunfermline's side, are well ahead of time.
Scottish Cup final and in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to gloat on it.
Proof's in the pudding.
This is what you get here. You get opinion and you get quite a great insight into the football, Ruffy.
Yep, I think this is Aberdeen's a stonewall in this one.
So they are fancy Aberdeen strong.
Jim Goodwin has been on record to say he spoke to everybody in his squad and told them whether you're here or you're not here. So I don't think that's a good...
It's always a tricky time of the season, I think, with players out of contract and stuff.
I'm going to go Aberdeen 2-1. What about you?
I'm going to go 4-0.
What?
Yep.
That's the first time you've gone above 3 goals this season.
Because the Dundee United players are just...
I'll go 4-0. I'll go 4-0 Aberdeen and all.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think Aberdeen will tank them.
Brilliant. Okay. 4-0. Let's wait and see. Dundee against Livingston. What do you make of this? Marvin Bartley forced to resign on a point of principle because they've moved the goalposts. They said to him that they'd be looking forward to next season as manager after a couple of discussions, and then suddenly he's got to reapply for his position.
It's not something I thought would have happened with Davy Martindale being there. I think Davy Martindale, pretty honest guy, and I think I don't know who's made the decision for them. It might be the owners. I don't know who it is. But for that to happen, and he's quite right, he's went in there, he's done a reasonable job. I know a lot of them were a lot of draws in there, but he certainly picked them up and gave them something to sing about. So it's a tough one to take, but football nowadays, these kind of people make these decisions.
I think it's unfortunate for Marvin. I think Livingston have definitely improved under him. I think that they'd be a big disappointment for him and his assistant.
6 draws and a win.
Yeah, I think they've not been far away at all. So I think Livingston's a weird club, but you've seen this before with players coming in and out, managers coming in and out.
I don't think they've covered themselves in glory.
No, I think it's been poor the way they've treated Marvin Bartley and the boy Neil. So Neil Hastings. So I think it's been poor.
Yep.
I think they deserve better for what they've been in and done.
And you and I had a great time last week. I've got to mention it again, Tam. We had a great time up at Dundee. Ruffy,
yep.
I have to say, I don't know if it was a home or audience, but that's the best I've heard you. You went down an absolute storm. Lots of new material. You'd written a lot of new stuff.
I had some Dundee stuff in there.
Yep.
It was a perfect audience, and I did Stephen Presley story. So, it can be done. You can change your set.
What do you make of that, eh?
Yeah, that's no answer to that.
Rough.
Yeah. I wouldn't even attempt to defend myself.
No, exactly.
But when you're getting twice as many gigs as him, you just keep going.
I spoke to Stephen Presley, and he mentioned he thinks he needs just one more win, and I think he's got more than enough there. I think a draw.
I think they'll get that the weekend with Livingston with no manager.
I'm going to go actually 3-0 Dundee.
Yeah, I think I'll go 2-0 Dundee.
2-0 Dundee.
By the way, there's a great point from Kenny just before we chuck it and say goodbye. Any Dundee players in the 50?
Yes.
There's a whole barrel load of them.
Caniggia, Ravanelli, Mzadze.
Oh, Mzadze, Caballero's got to be in there. What about Craig Burley? No.
Craig Burley gets sent off in his debut for Dundee against Hibs. He nearly half me in 2.5 wheeling after about 10 minutes. I knocked the ball by him and he just woofed me up in the air, straight rid.
Is that right?
Anyway,
but
just thought to say that.
That's 4 Stonewall certainties. Anybody else from Dundee other than that we're thinking about? What about Juan Sara?
Nah.
No, not having it?
Nah.
No. Listen, what a time it was. I did actually say, what about my question, Tam, just before we go, what about my question to the Dundee fans? And I said, please somebody raise your hand and tell me, wherever you're living, whether it's a flat, your own house, big house, please tell me on your wall you've got a signed, framed top from one of those players. And a wee boy put his hand up and he said, my dad's got me, it's signed Dundee, it's a Claudia Caniggia top.
I'll be worth a few quid.
Oof.
He was some player played against him when he was at Rangers, and some shape and all. See the physique, you know, he was 35, 36. I think he was on the same marching powder as Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway. Okay, and that's another story for late at night with Ruffy. Thanks. Thanks for that line, Tam. Brilliant. Some player, nevertheless. You could watch him all day. Brilliant. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for your contribution. Lots of really good points, lots of really great opinion as well. And a lot of people watch the programme and still haven't subscribed. If you do get a chance, please hit the like and subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We really would value your support, and there's lots more content, including, as Paul Brady was asking there, predictors coming back, Ruffy, and we're going to have a belter of a prize for it as well.
Brilliant. Are we involved in it as well?
You are involved.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's hope we can get right to the end and I can win it instead of getting chopped just near the end.
Okay, thanks for that, Ruffy. The answer to the quiz, courtesy of Elite Joinery and Fire Protection, Tam's mates. We've never seen them, Ruffy. They just keep taking him out. Anyway, the answer to the quiz, the goal scorer for Aston Villa in the 1982 European Cup final against Bayern Munich was...
Alan Evans.
Unbelievable. Right at the death. No, it's Peter With. Peter With, do you remember him? He was a great player.
Played against him in Wembley.
Did he not score for England?
No.
Not
Just
past
Mick
you.
Shannon.
Peter With, what a great player he was. Congratulations. Thanks to everybody who watched the programme, from Alan Ruff, Tam McManus, myself, Peter Martin. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Go to the games and come back safely to your family. It is only a game of football, but we love it. Saturday and Sunday, cannot wait. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.